Mick made up a disco groove that now occupies a space in my soul.
To be fair, I don't think I made it up. I don't think I made it up at all. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, hello. Welcome to That Pedal Show VCQ Live. Dan here.
Nick here. Hello.
Hello.
For those of you who don't know, VCQ stands for Viewers, Comments and Questions. Which means those of you watching can ask us anything you like. Normally, again, this is for the benefit of newcomers, welcome to our house. More about this later.
It's a very, very, very fine house.
Yes, with 2 cats in the yard.
Yeah, so let's do some housekeeping.
Okay.
For the very fine house. Massive thank you for joining us. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you're new and haven't done that as yet, we'd really appreciate it.
We would.
A massive thank you to anyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grab some merch and t-shirts and strings and pedals and hats and stuff. It is what allows us to keep doing what we do. Yes, but thank you so much for joining us. We've had an eventful week since we've last seen you.
Yes.
It's been amazing.
With the exposure down.
Okay.
Looks a bit bright to me, but you know.
It's just me. I haven't been in the sun a lot.
I'm sure the good people will tell us if it is.
Yeah.
We've had an amazing week. We did the inaugural That Pedal Show Experience Day on Friday, and we had 6 lovely people here to share it with us. And it was really heartwarming day, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
It was great to be among humans, among fantastic humans who came here and experienced.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Really wonderful.
Have you ever been experienced, Dan?
Not as experienced as I'd like or perhaps need to be.
This is a Jimi Hendrix quote, just in case anyone didn't get that. I think that light seems very bright, Dan.
Okay, that might be doing it. Yeah, it was truly wonderful. So the idea that Mick and I had was to have people come in and experience what we experience when we're recording the show. So, you know, with these amazing loud amps and stuff that happens, the sound we get in here is really great, and we try to get as much of that across as we possibly can on the wonderful YouTube. However, it's only possible to a certain extent. So yeah, we had our first 6 people come through last Friday and hang out, and we did some pedalboard sort of a pedalboard workshop and Shenanigai, and then we had they all came in here and had to play through the rig, and yeah, it was really, really wonderful.
It was.
Yep. So thank you again to anyone that joined.
Yes, so massive thanks to Mike,
Oliver.
to Mark, to Oliver.
Yeah, Mark, Andrew.
Who are we missing? Ed. Come on, who are we missing? Gavin.
Yes.
Thank you to all 6 of you for such a really, really fabulous day. It was really cool.
Very cool.
Then let us, Daniel.
Yes. Oh, I just want to say, I had an email a month or so ago from a very wonderful gentleman by the name of John Box. So sending out a massive hello to John, and I met John today. And John has graced us with a pretty remarkable amplifier that you might see sitting at the back here. So it's an original old Wallace amplifier from the 60s. We'll get into more, we're going to do something on that soon because it's an amazing story. And I've just fired it up and sounds incredible. But anyway, thank you, John. And yeah, it was a real pleasure to meet you, mate. Thank you so much.
And thank you, John, if you're watching for the Echo unit, which will be revealed in due course. It's incredibly kind of you. We'll get into that when we got a bit more time.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Right. Lovely reverberation from drums that you can hear. We're going to do some band stuff tomorrow. Well, I say band. Dougie's coming in, drummer, and either Dan or me will play bass and the other one will play guitar. And we're just going to talk about some concepts in the context of a 3-piece. Paddy, if you're watching, don't be too glum. We're just going to test it, and then if it works, then we'll get Paddy in as well to play the bass properly. But we're just going to kick off with the 3 of us to keep the, the Macky Mac down. and make some noise as a band of 3.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
So I don't know what will happen to that, but that's the plan.
It's a good plan.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
We're going to do some pedal jams, actually, for those of you who like pedal jams. But we're going to do it as an actual jam with actual humans playing
Imagine that.
instruments.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I've cobbled together a bass rig here, as you can see, using the Mesa 5050 stereo power amp, a couple of cabinets, and some items on the floor. It should be fun.
Be brilliant.
Dougie's going to do what's required on the lovely Gretsch kit there. Right. It's raining here in LA, says Wes Chilton. Must be sympathy rain. Thanks, Wes. We've got a bit of rain here as well. Rockford, Santa Cruz. Hi, guys. Greetings and love from Dover, Kent. Have a good season. Session. There we are, thinking Rockford, Santa Cruz, and he's from Dover. Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. Greetings from Staten Island.
Oh, cool. Staten
New
Island
York,
Ferry.
says Anthony Baggs.
There's a really fantastic film. Oh, man. One day you're going to have to show me that name trick. I could really use that.
The name trick.
The name trick. How you remember people's names.
The common way is you look at somebody in the eyes and you say their name to them 3 times.
Like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Not
and
quite
then
like
they appear. Yeah.
not quite like that. It's like, so I would say to you, for the first time I've met you, you'd say, "Hi, I'm Daniel." I'd say, "Hi, Daniel, how are you?"
How are you, Daniel? Have you had Daniel? Have you had a good day,
and then
Daniel?
in a second, I'll go, "Daniel, would you like a cup of tea?"
Okay.
And then in a minute, and then just in fairly quick succession, it's a really good way to help the name go in.
Okay.
But you have to be active about it. You see.
I see. I much prefer the passive.
Yeah.
Active things never really worked for me.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, there's a really great film. One of the guys from SNL. There's a great film about. He's from Staten Island, and yeah, really interesting.
Nice.
Anyway, sorry.
Daniel Nichols. Don't apologise, Dan.
Never apologise.
Never explain, never apologise. Went to a lovely guitar show over the weekend and fell in love with an SG Standard and an SG Junior. All things even. Which would you choose? I've never owned either, and I generally play Strats.
If you don't have a humbucker guitar, get the Standard.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
If you want to rock, get the Junior. No, they both rock really well. That is probably, I would say, for whatever meaningful statement this is, the best sounding guitar either of us own.
It's pretty special. I feel very blessed to
This
have
is a
it.
61 Les Paul Junior, for those of you who don't know. It's such a spectacular thing. But I think for versatility, you can do all your neck pickup stuff, etc. The if you're coming from a Strat, I would go Standard personally.
Yeah.
But you should, play them both and go with a guitar that feels right in the hands.
Yeah. Because as good as this sounds, I don't use it all the time because it's kind of, it does a couple of things it does absolutely brilliantly, whereas, that's a much more wide range from the telly. And the Standard SG is a spectacular guitar. It'll do so much. It'll do really great cleans. Very dear friend of mine, Paul Stacey, it's just a friend of ours. When I first met him, he was using his SG all the time, and when he was playing with Neil Finn, that was his main guitar for the Finn Brothers tour, his old SG. Far out. Stunning.
Alan Rutherford, hello from the Devil's Ballsack of southeast Georgia. Sounds nice there. Greetings everyone from a cold and damp Brampton, Ontario, Canada, says Prog Doggy.
Hey, Prog Doggy.
Frankie Holt, greetings and salutations from Russell Shoals, Alabama, hit recording capital of the world.
Indeed.
Frankie
Whiskers B said Pete Davidson, the king of Staten Island. Yes, that's what I was trying to remember.
There you go.
Thank you, Whiskers.
John Channing is in a cold London town. Overcast and chilly Nova Scotia, says Todd Roy. Yeah.
It's warm here.
It is warm. Yeah, it is warm. Yeah. All hail the Junior. Cheerio from Malaki, Slovakia, says Stanislav Migra.
That was my nickname for the longest time when I worked at a Greek restaurant. I didn't know what it meant. I thought it meant
Oh, Malacca.
Malacca.
Yeah.
I
think
it's for months.
It's not necessarily.
It's not good.
I think it's friendly, isn't it?
It can be.
Yeah. We should not really veer into swearing in foreign languages. If you ever watched Queen of the South, I think, which was on Netflix or Amazon or one of those streaming services, it's about all your drugs and stuff in South America.
Right.
And I learned some really good Mexican swear words in
cool.
that. Yeah, I shan't. Yeah, anyway.
Have you been to Mexico?
No.
I'd love to go to Mexico.
Actually, that's a lie. Did. From... Didn't get out, just went on a train and came back again.
Okay.
Yeah. From San Diego.
From San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
San Diego.
Uh,
The meaning has been lost over time.
Jeddah Kung Pao, Dave.
Hey, mate.
I owe you a massive apology for not getting to your track. My head has been thoroughly up my anus.
No, Mick has been working so hard getting everything ready for last Friday, and he did the most amazing job. I came in at the end and did a couple of things and pretended I had anything to do with it, but it was all Mick and Catherine did the most amazing job. So he's been very busy, but
thank you, Dan.
so
Thank you for that.
productive.
It was a team effort. There's no way we'd have been able to do it without everyone really, like huskies on the front of the sled there, as we were.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know where that came to mind. I can't attend live today due to work stuff, but I just wanted to call out how great Dan's playing was on Friday's video. Love to you both.
Oh, bless you. Thank you
Nice.
very much.
That was the DS1 video, which, to some surprise, has done absolutely gangbusters numbers.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, are you not?
No.
Well, we haven't had one that's that big for ages.
No, it's been a long time.
It's done nearly 100k already.
But they've sold 1.5 million of those things.
Yeah, true enough.
So it's such an interesting pedal because so many people hear it and go, ugh, and yet
Quite a lot of people in the comments.
yeah. So saying
Never wanted one, never liked it, turned off.
exactly.
I've come here just to turn off.
I've come here to tell you that you are wrong.
That amp show. Anyway, hello from Daniel Herbert in Ann Arbor. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
He says, huge thanks for the previous episode about recording and miking amps. I have issues with a Pro 2 Telly and a Princeton. Should be simple, but it isn't. Hope your son is better, Dan.
Oh, he's much better. He's back in, I'd say, not fighting form. Actually, I've set up some mats in our garage and my son and I roll of an evening. And so he is back rolling with me at the moment, which is great fun. But he is fine. He's great. He's great.
Jolly good. Matt Lloyd. Hello, Matt. Nice to hear from you. He says, hey, guys, any suggestions for what to pair with an AC15 for wet-dry? Should it be the wet or the dry amp? I'm not very familiar with this amp. Also, ideas for a good, clean and dirty psychedelic tone.
It depends on the level that you're playing at. The AC15 will actually do a really good job of either. There's a video coming out on Friday, actually. I've had this revelation about my wet-dry rig. And it's about how loud or how much compression and limiting your dry amp can have and still sound amazing. A few little things to be aware of that as to how you approach your gain stages. But if you're using your AC15 sort of crunchy and raucous, then that would be the dry amplifier, and you would want something with a bit more headroom to be the wet amplifier. However, if you're using the AC15 with a lot of headroom and that's taking the bulk of the effects, then you can afford to have something either quieter, lower powered and turned up, get a bit of love going, or something of similar, equal value. There's a number of different ways that you can do it.
Indeed. That's annoying me. Sorry, Dan.
It's all right.
The only thing to avoid, Matt, is another amp that sounds like the AC15. Because you want something that's complementary. So, like, a more mid-scoopy Fender can work really well. A Marshall-type sound where the mid-range is in a very different place. I always think it works great when the two amps have complementary EQ curves rather than two things that are the same.
Totally. So, for example, like the AC15, when it's driving, it's just a magic. It's the sound of ages, right?
Yeah.
So, if you paired that with something like a deluxe reverb, something that's got a bit more headroom and a different shape, different bottom and top character, that works beautifully. Whenever, truth be told, though, we've paired the AC15 with so many different amplifiers. Always sounds wonderful. So
it does.
Hard to go wrong.
Yeah, it is hard to go wrong. Double denim, says David Tompkins. He's reverted to single denim now.
Oh, well, denim and core. Did you call that denim? Denim.
Might not have had that amount of fine detail in the live stream.
Right.
On the subject of which, Sony released a new camera yesterday, which I can't decide whether we're happy about or not.
Okay.
It's an A7 IV, so it's kind of in between our old camera and our new one. And it's much less expensive than the new one.
Okay.
So,
but our new one's really good.
It is. We need two. It's quite a fight to get them to look the same.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, and the clean and dirty psychedelic tone. I guess what do we associate with psychedelia? Probably a univibe. Some filtering.
Yeah.
What about an auto spectrum-y thing?
Go and have a listen to. Go and have a listen to Blue Elephant by Matt. Is it Blue Elephant? Oh, come on, IT Crowd.
Oh yeah, him.
Yeah,
him.
Yeah,
him. With the voice.
Matt Berry.
From How did we forget
Crowd.
that?
I don't know because
I
was just listening to it today. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
he's done an album called Blue Elephant, and it is so psychedelic. It's unreal.
Huge phaser, loads of reverb and delay.
So good.
Univibe, that'll do you.
But those effects, they're used in really creative ways, used in sort of offbeat, sort of, if you think like 60s psychedelia, right? They weren't matching tempos and having subtle things. It was all,
They didn't have MIDI.
They didn't have MIDI.
Just saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, really cool. But if you want to go and listen to some classic psychedelic sounds on Matt Berry's new album, Blue Elephant.
Phaser and loads of reverb.
There you go.
That's what you want. Plexico. Greetings, D&M. Love the show and you. Bless you.
Thank you.
What's your experience been with Parker guitars? Many thanks, Ken Parker. Just kidding.
Is that the Parker Fly?
Yeah.
Right.
I played many. I guess they were an answer to a question I didn't have.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there's nothing wrong with a Telecaster for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Stratocaster or a Les Paul or a 335. What those guitars can do so far outstrips anything I can do. I'm not even going to get anywhere near them. So why I need a flatter fingerboard, stainless steel frets, a carbon fibre exoskeleton, piezo bridge, and all the rest of it, I just, it's not,
Yeah, it was an amazing feat of engineering, I think, when it came out.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, total respect for the design.
Absolutely, like the whole carbon fibre thing, it weighed nothing.
Yeah, really
first
spectacular.
saw it when...
Good trem.
Yeah, so I first saw it when the first replacement for the Red Hot Chili Peppers guitar player jumped in and was using one.
I don't even know who that would have been. Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro was using one on a live show to cover the acoustic and electric parts.
Okay.
And it was really interesting.
Yeah, some of them had a piezo if you're in the USA or piezo if you're in the UK.
And I know some guys that absolutely love them. But as it's not a question that I've ever had. It's like I've never picked up my telly and gone, you know what, this is a bit heavy for me.
Yeah.
Or I need to be able to have acoustic and electric things happening. But, you know, a lot of people who have them absolutely love them.
Yeah. I think you can get a bit sniffy about that sort of approach to things. It's quite often when we extol the virtues of vintage guitars, the argument that will come back is, oh, God, you need a bit of progress. You're
living in the past,
living
man.
in the past. It needs to progress. It needs to evolve. And all I would say about that is the Stradivarius did not need really to evolve.
Sure.
Sure, they've all been brutally broken and repaired, and they're probably bit trigger's broom in some respects. But the basic design of the thing doesn't really need to change. And to perform at its peak as a concert violin, it doesn't require to change beyond that. Now, that's not saying that an electric violin isn't a perfectly valid musical thing to do, but yeah, you're probably not going to find one in the LSO anytime soon.
Yeah, I heard an electric violin in Starship Troopers, and I thought, no, I'm good. PJR said Reeves Gabrels had one with Bowie, and he did. Reeves Gabrels, he could make a broomstick sound amazing. He's one of the most creative musicians I've ever met. When I was living in Singapore, a producer had worked with him, had worked on the Tin Machine album with him and David Bowie, and Reeves had a sustainer built under each string of his guitar, the special guitar built, so he could do all this stuff on it. And he just has this amazing way of but that sort of approach to technology and guitar is something that Reeves would just grab and go, yeah, let me see what I can do with this. He's amazing. I'm still trying to work out how to play a pentatonic properly, so
don't play it properly. It sounds rubbish if you play it properly. John Reed says Ken Parker now builds archtops apparently.
Oh wow!
And he has a series on YouTube called Archtoppery, which is very interesting. I bet it is. I mean, he's a fascinating guy. Somebody said David Tompkins says it's my number one guitar as a Parker Fly. It's like an F1 car compared to a Fiesta. Stunning playability.
Right.
It's interesting actually. I was thinking about motor vehicles when trying to come up with an analogy. And my analogy was it's like somebody giving me Valentino Rossi's MotoGP bike to nip off down to the coast. I would literally fall off on the first corner.
Yeah.
It's
an
not
F1's fine, but I'm only going to the shops for the milk and the paper.
Exactly. Yeah. Great, cool things. Cool things. Maybe we should try and acquire one, Dan, or get someone to.
Absolutely.
And,
let's challenge our whatever we need to be challenged.
Yeah.
I'm quite challenged.
Mark Carey. Hello, Mark. Nice to hear from you. He says, Dan, Mick and Catherine and the other attendees, thanks for a brilliant day on Friday on the TPS Experience Day. 5 stars. Highly recommend.
Oh, mate.
Thanks
so
much, Mark. Mark brought in a really nice Les Paul gold top with P90s reissue, and we cranked it through Mike's 2061 Marshall. Mike had never heard. Mike is 2203 fan, by the way, in the comments section, and Mike had never heard his 2061 cranked. So I was like, do you mind if I just,
give it the love,
do the thing that's required on this amp? It's only got 4 knobs. And so all of those went all the way around, and it sounded flipping glorious. And so much so, I think we're going to get one.
Excellent.
It was, yeah.
And that's the 20 watt, right? With the solid state rectifier.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
LC Vol 73. LC Vol 73 says, hello from Tennessee. My main amp is a 65 Princeton reissue.
Lovely.
I love blues and rock. And my 2 main guitars are a Strat and a Les Paul. I'm thinking about adding a DSL or swapping the Princeton with a Mesa Cali Tweed.
Ooh.
So, okay, so you want... so you're either going to add the DSL, Marshall DSL 40, or swap the Princeton entirely for a Cali Tweed. One would assume, because you just need a bit more than the Princeton's got.
Yeah. So that's the 10-inch speaker in that one?
I would imagine so. It's the same as ours.
Okay, yeah, right. And it's a great amplifier up to a point, I'd say, unless you can put a new speaker in it.
Add the Marshall.
Right.
I think you'll get much more out of that than getting rid of the Princeton for the Cali Tweed, because you can do the wet dry thing. I mean, it's a bit more hassle for sure if you don't want to carry 2 amps around, but as we discovered at the Experience Day on Friday, as a few people there had never really heard wet dry before, and the response was the same across the board. It's like,
it's just blown away.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's not about volume necessarily.
No.
It can sound giant at low volumes too. So yeah, we say add the Marshall of those options.
Yeah.
Good luck. All things Weatherly. Likely that I'm moving house next year and therefore planning my studio build out for my basement. Knowing
awesome.
You guys went through the sound treatment proofing for TPS Studios, are there any pitfalls to avoid?
So the biggest thing is understanding the room and the sound of it. So a really interesting experience that I had, right? I've got my little studio set up at home and with no treatment in the room, and then Paul Stacey came over and had listened to some of the stuff to have, because he's going to mix the EP, he's going to give me a hand. And first thing he had to do was put on some tracks that he knew really, really well. just to understand the monitors and understand the room.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing, is really understanding, having a baseline to work with. Now, the treatment that we've done in our studio has had a massive impact, but that, like everything else, is a rabbit hole that we could disappear down.
Yeah, I guess, unless you've won the lottery, it's the game you're playing is the cost and effectiveness compromise, right? So in here we haven't done any soundproofing because it would cost thousands and thousands and thousands. Plus we don't have to, because where we are it doesn't matter that we make noise. What we have done is damp the sound of the inside of the room so that there's not too many like straight reflections off walls and stuff, which would be problematic for so many reasons. But there is a nasty standing wave in here, which you can probably hear sometimes if I don't get rid of it. And there's some other things, but because it's a dead sounding room, that'll do. The control room's slightly different, and we're sort of halfway there with that, where we have had some acoustic work done, and that's a combination, again, cost and effectiveness. So it's basically choosing some pre-made acoustic panels and just placing them in where they will have the biggest effect in the room. What you're essentially trying to do, as you well know, is first and foremost, get rid of the primary reflections. So if your monitors are there and you've got two walls there, you've got a reflection there, and you've got one off the ceiling, and you've probably got one off the floor, and you've got one off the back wall, and you've got one off the wall behind you. So you need to treat all of those early reflections, and then in addition to that, depending what the room's made of, what's above it, what's beside it, what the floor's made of, how much void you've got in the space above, then you've got a whole other bunch of considerations. And that's, unless you're doing work that's really well paid and you really do need that critical listening, it's really arguable whether it's worth spending the money, because you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands doing that, or you could buy yourself just a really lovely pair of headphones.
So I've told you about the headphones Paul used, and you got to hear them. It blew my mind. It's got a special little amplifier just for the headphones. I mean, they're, I think, $4,000 for a set of headphones.
Even with the Genelex, I still do most stuff in headphones.
Right. Wow.
Just because I can trust it and I know what's happening. Yeah.
And there's a consistency to it. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I think once we start doing more band mixes, the Genelex will really come into their own. But,
okay.
They're not very pleasant to listen to, if I'm honest.
Sure.
They're hard work.
Yep.
But everything that I check on them always sounds better after I've checked it on them.
Right.
So
great. Sorry, just shout out to BV. Thank you, BV. We haven't said hello to you yet today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
as always,
for doing
BV.
What you do. You're amazing.
Carl Longbottom's on.
Hey, Carl.
Hello, Carl. He's not been very well. He says he's been at home all week with COVID.
Oh, dear.
Thank God for old TPS episodes. Daytime TV is crap. Yes, it is. Hope you're both well, and everyone who is watching. Well, we hope you're doing all right, Carl.
Yes, mate.
That didn't hit you too hard. You doing okay? Nice to hear from you, buddy. David Daly. Hi, David. He says, hello. I had a new guitar day at the weekend. Black Squire FSR CV Custom Esquire. I love it. Even found a use for the neck position. Whack on a load of fuzz. Really cool. I'm trying to work out what CV stands for. FSR is Fender Special Run, I think.
Okay.
CV Custom Vintage. Don't know. Digger 68. Hey guys, I found that one of my first pedals when active causes a massive volume drop and tone loss in my wet amp, but not my dry amp, no matter what wet pedals I run. Cables are okay. What's going on?
Say that again. A
Right.
massive drop in the wet amp, but not a massive drop in the dry amp.
Yeah. So the first thing to do...
it's the same thing that we had. Yeah.
First thing to do, swap the cables and run whatever you were running as your dry amp, run it as your wet, and whatever you were running as your wet amp, run it as the dry. And what you'll probably find is the same amp, regardless of whether it's wet, dry. Suffers the same thing. So what we're saying is it's got nothing to do with, it's unlikely it's got anything to do with whether it's wet, dry. It's got more to do with what amp it is.
Yeah. and how the amp is run.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Friday's show on the DS1, watch the bit where we plug it into the deluxe reverb and the sound literally goes away.
Yep.
Well, actually, that's not true. It dips significantly because the deluxe reverb just doesn't have the mid-range to deal with the DS1.
Yeah.
So much so, I had to go, hang on a minute, something's not quite right there, and we checked it through the Marshall and everything was fine. Back to the deluxe reverb. Now, what then changed was when we turned the deluxe reverb up, and everything in the deluxe reverb shifts, and the whole EQ response shifts, and the gain response shifts. All of a sudden, there was the DS1 again. So we rather suspect it's down to what your amp is doing. If it's not that, and it is something in the wet chain, then you're going to have to do a process of elimination by eliminating one thing at a time. Because I don't know. Could it be an impedance mismatch somewhere?
If the other amp is receiving it fine, then no.
Yeah. Well, remember the one amp's dry and one amp's wet, so the wet amp's going to be seeing some other pedals.
Yes. You've still, the output impedance of it, again, depends on the fuzz, depends on what the output impedance of the fuzz is. If it's the output impedance is really high, and you've got it split after that, and it's like a passive split, and it's struggling to drive the dry amp, but the one side of the passive split is going to another pedal that changes the impedance and then sends a low impedance to the wet amp, maybe. But then you would possibly be getting some like signal back.
Yeah, we think it's the amp.
Yeah, do that first.
We reckon you've got a mid-scoopy amp on the end of that fuzz.
Yep.
Is what we think.
Oh, CV stands for classic vibe.
Ah, of course it does.
Classic vibe.
Just like me and you, Dan.
We're classic vibe.
Mark Rostein. Hi, Mark. He says, hello, gents.
Crusty vintage. That's what...
Happy Monday from Philly. Hello, Philly.
Ah.
I recently bought a TC Yanyornig luxury drive. Wondering if you've used this pedal, and if so, what are your thoughts?
What is it?
A Yanyornig luxury drive. Oh, I have. Danish Pete's got one.
Oh, wow.
It's really, really good. It's not entirely unlike the Tula from what I remember.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, Mark, it's not entirely unlike the Tula, and it's that kind of nice, bitey, present, not too... It's more of a shaper and a ecosystem improver rather than like an overdrive pedal from what I can remember.
Right.
But I might be remembering it wrong. But yeah, cool. Hello to Philly.
Indeed.
Jacob Bartelt. Hello, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
Nice to hear from you, buddy. He says, hi, D&M. The noise issue with my Marvel drive, that didn't happen when the volume pedal was in the same loop. When I move the volume pedal to the start of the chain, I'm getting a noise sizzle. So, Marvel drive.
Right.
Noise issue. Volume pedal in the same loop as the Marvel drive.
Mm-hmm.
No noise.
Okay.
When I move the volume pedal to the start of the chain, I'm getting noise sizzle. Is it just that the volume pedal is turning down the Marvel drive?
So if you put, I'm assuming it's a passive volume pedal that you're putting at the start of the Marvel drive, and that might be changing. Like, for example, if it's a 500k volume pedal and you've got and it's 1 meg input impedance on the Marvel drive, and you're halving the impedance, that might be filtering out some noise. I don't know. Again, process of elimination and start. So it's really interesting, depending on, obviously we don't know the board and what's going on there. But depending on what's going on the pedal, that drive might be picking up noise from something that's 3 or 4 pedals down the chain. It's
exactly that.
It's so hard to, to have to try and troubleshoot when there's text like this. So you've got to go back to basics, process of elimination. Start with just the Marvel drive.
Yeah.
And then start adding things in one at a time and see exactly where it happens. And then, try and work it out from there. It's one thing, a really good thing to test. Let's assume that all the other pedals are true bypass for a moment. Even with the pedals off, just one by one, unplug the power from them and see if the noise goes away. Because it might be something that's happening in the power supply from one of those pedals. Sometimes I'm genuinely surprised by what's happening inside a pedal that can add noise.
Yeah.
In
elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, was just if you've changed any of the power relationships anywhere, like if by moving the volume pedal you've taken it off that power socket and you've plugged it into another power socket, if indeed it's not just a passive one, it might be that there's some. It drives me nuts, the whole power thing. Like, unless you get everything absolutely isolated, it always causes problems.
Yeah.
I always think, I can just get away with that over there on a different adapter. It's like, nah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. In fact, I put a very quick board together for my friend Neville this weekend. Dan and I will do it properly when we got a bit more time and the rest of his stuff arrives. But the first pedal in his chain was buzzing quite badly.
Right.
Couldn't work it out. Process of elimination. What solved it eventually was putting the QMX4
right
with more current.
Okay, because
That's what solved it.
Right.
So it had nothing to do with any of the pedals.
Sure.
It was the QMX wasn't getting enough current.
There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So that's the other thing, Jacob. Make sure whatever switcher you're using is getting enough current. Michael Gilberto. Hello, Michael. He says, hi all. I can't join you live today. No question, just a big thank you for all you do. Hope to join an experience day when I'm next in the UK. Well, it would be great to see you, Michael.
Wonderful, mate. Thank you very much.
Pet Moxie has super chatted but hasn't given us a question. I'll keep an eye on my text massages to see if BV is letting me know about things. David Allman. Hello, David. He says, imagine that you must alternate between acoustic and electric guitar, but you can only have access to 1 amp. Shiver. And you need a rich, clean tone for each. What are your thoughts? Thanks. You guys are really quite amazing.
Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
High watt. Because if you need that headroom for the acoustic, and you need a chimey top end, but an amp that still has character. For me, it's really hard to go past the cleans and the high watt for that stuff.
I'd use my 2-rock and I'd turn the FET on for the acoustic.
Yeah, right.
It just, you get a bit more high and a bit more.
But that thing where the amp is breaking up, you don't really want that with a. No. It doesn't sound good with the acoustic.
Twin reverb, I've seen lots of people.
Twin's great shout, actually. That's a great shout.
Yeah, or you could come at it from a more modern, a much more modern approach. So the board that I put together for Neville at the weekend, he stopped using his Helix for just fancies a change. And he wanted to have another device that was going to do the amp job. So he was interested in listening to the Strymon Iridium, the Walrus OCS1 or whatever it's called, the DSM and Humboldt simplifier. And we banged through a few things, and we both significantly preferred the DSM and Humboldt simplifier going into a full range cab. So what you could do is, if you had, you could use a PA cab, right? So like one of our full range flat response PA cabs. And in your pedal board, you could have the DSM and Humboldt simplifier as one thing. So when you play your electric guitar, you turn that on.
Interesting.
And that gives you your electric guitar sound.
Right.
And it gives you an amp sound. And then when you want to play your acoustic guitar, you turn it off and you're just going straight in into the full range flat response, which is sort of what an acoustic guitar really wants to see, like plugging directly into a PA.
Yeah.
Now, if you play more acoustic than electric, I would say that's a better route than putting up with a massive compromise of your acoustic guitar into an electric guitar amp. So that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with that thing. You will see it on the show soon.
It also depends on the ratio you're playing acoustic to electric. Like if you're doing, for me, if you're doing this mainly electric with a couple of mainly acoustic with a couple of electric things.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great way to do it. If it's mainly electric with a little bit of acoustic thrown in here and there, you know what I mean. I don't necessarily want the my core thing just being through a PA for the electric if that's going to be happening all night. It just
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It just depends on if it's 50-50. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, David Tompkins said an AER amp for acoustic. That's what I use, David. The electric tones through that would be easier than acoustic through a tube amp, he reckons. It's still, I think that's where something like a simplifier or an Iridium or something that is designed to sound like a guitar, like an electric guitar amp and speaker, would really work into the AER rather than just plug in the electric guitar in, which I'd be very sad. I think I'd go and sit at the bar if I had to play that all night.
Todd Roy says, I believe Dan is watching TikTok videos. No, Todd, I'm watching the comments come in, making sure I don't miss anything. I'm trying really hard to be more engaged in the moment and not to miss things. But, you know, I'm I'm halfway there.
G Barge used to work on the docks. He says, Dan, hello G. He says, you haven't described your SG today. Is it new?
No, not new. Thanks, G. So yeah, anyone that watched last week's video, this is my 1961 Les Paul Jr.
It's been on the show
a
a bit over the years, but it tends to be with Dan, not here in the studio. So,
and I've just noticed, sort of making me quite sad, that the back is still lovely and cherry, but it's starting to fade a bit on the front now from being exposed.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guitars that you'll see from the early 60s look brown, that would have originally been cherry, because when they expose, the paint turns brown from red.
Yeah.
This was kept in a case for 50 years.
Wow.
And when I got it, it was deep cherry red all the way over. But because I've been playing it quite a bit, it's starting to fade a bit on the front. And it's, anyway. This is just the most amazing guitar.
It's a spectacular guitar.
Yeah.
Oops, I just walked into that. Right then, G, you're up next with your super chat as it goes. He says, "Brothers in Charms."
Very good, G. Very good, mate.
I saw the Eagles in San Francisco on Saturday. Even better than expected. Also wanted to give a shout to the Nobles ODR, one which might have gotten lost a bit due to a missed VCQ. I've got a black custom and it sounds great.
So that is the Norland.
I think this is a Nobles one. They've obviously done a black custom one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We got sent a custom one, so it'll be good to listen to that.
Right, okay, cool. Yeah, right,
Yeah.
cool. You're brilliant.
Thank you to Bernard. I think it is Bernard. Thank you. Anyway, apologies. I don't have the bit of paper with me. Airfire. Ed. Hello, mate. Great to hear from you. Ed came to see us on Friday and was part of the experience day.
It's wonderful.
Had a big moment in here with his Jazzmaster and Wet Dry. It was very moving, Ed. It was very moving.
What was really cool, the conversation I was having with Ed when we were going over his pedal board, and my three guys were there, and Oliver was there as well. And it was so cool because Oliver's, so Ed was using an OCD at the start of his chain. And Oliver's like, have you tried an 18 volt? It's like, plugged an 18 volt and it's like,
Yeah.
And then moved a few things around. It was so good.
It was really, really good.
Really
good. It was a good collective experience.
Yep.
Anyway, he says, chaps, thanks for the best day of my life on Friday at the experience day. I can't wait to get paid for dog sitting and buy my D&M drive. Bless you, Ed. Thank you. Curtis R. Hello, Curtis.
Hey,
he said,
Curtis.
ends of legs. Like it. This week I received my monk. Dan, received my monk is not a euphemism. My mind is ablaze with inspiration or possibly encephalitis. It is so good. What's next? Much love from Kansas City. So glad you like it, Curtis.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been out now, but I have to say every time I turn it on, I'm like,
It's pretty magic.
Yeah. I got my first gig in flipping forever this coming Saturday
I'm
night.
so pleased for you. I wish I could make it. I'd actually come down, but Tina and I are out my wife's birthday.
I've got to sit on the
so
sofa and twiddle my thumbs. It's just a bunch of old mates. It's one of those things where nobody really knows what the set list is. We're going to have a knock on Saturday afternoon and just it'll be whatever it is come showtime in a pub for somebody's birthday, a load of fun. So I can't wait. Anyway, the reason I say that is I shall be overusing my monk all night.
Wonderful.
For that.
Wonderful. Well, PJR just says favourite Holdsworth album. I listened to 2 on the way here today, Metal Fatigue and the Live in Japan album. It's a tie of those 2 for me. They're both just unbelievable.
I couldn't name one, I'm afraid. So
I've named 2, so we're good.
I apologise. Justin Baylog. Hello, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
Just wanted to say thanks to Catherine for the quick delivery. 3 days to the States. Wow. My wife and I are both sporting TPS shirts and love them.
Ah,
Thank
fantastic.
you, Justin. Yeah, we ship UPS to the USA, and it can actually to New York. It's been next day before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't say anything about Europe. Don't say anything about Europe.
So California, 2 to 3 days. Sometimes it can be worse, but that's great, Justin. We're glad you had a good experience of that. Yeah. And thanks to UPS.
Yeah, thank you, UPS.
Yeah. Yeah, just don't say anything about Europe. Panotted Bumhucker says, hey friends, how much acoustic string type noise is normal on a vintage Strat? It drives me crazy sometimes. And what are your thoughts on the Plek machine? Much love from Toby.
So, what vintage string type? Not that.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah. Now there are ways you can get around this if you it's one of those things, right? Once you notice it really drives you mental.
Right.
Sorry, that's probably not a very good term to use. It drives you crazy, which may not be a very good term to use. I'll keep digging
myself out of a hole.
Yeah. I'm trying. Very trying. It can really be a problem, and once you start listening to it and you lock onto it, you can't get it out of your head. A bit like I've totally decided I want to do Back for Good on Saturday night.
Fantastic.
Just for the major 7 of the
as in whatever I said.
Yeah.
Far out, man.
It's such an interesting song, right? Because you probably realised this. While we did, what was the question about?
String.
Yeah. So there's one thing you could do. If it really drives you crazy, you could do one of 3 things. 1, try flat wounds.
It's gonna be, yeah.
2, for a while there, I don't know if they still do them, Dario did half wounds.
No way.
So they did the wound string, but half of it was ground off.
Wow.
So it was halfway between a flat wound, because obviously the string noise is your finger running against the wind of the string. Thirdly, try different materials. So if you're using like, I don't know, chromes or just straight, slinkies or normal wound guitar strings, you can get pure nickels.
Right.
And they have less of that.
The Kurt Mangan, aren't they? What are they made of?
Yeah, they're my brain is not working today. They're steel wound nickel.
Okay.
Whereas in a pure nickel string, or they're nickel wound steel. Anyway, try a different material.
Right.
Anyway. Hateful Capo. Anyway, the next song.
Sounds like every Oasis song ever written.
Right, so that's Back for Good, yeah?
Right. going to Neil Young.
And it just struck me that they're the same flipping chords. I mean, of course they're the same chords. Anyway.
Well, Like Lions has just asked, are we still taking Super Chat? I think we are at the moment, but we'll be turning it off very soon.
Together, this time it's forever. It's so satisfying to just go to that major 7 chord. Anyway, we're doing that.
Pat Moxley says, any update on Tommy Emmanuel or Clive Carroll coming to TPS? No update, but flip a neck. That would be amazing.
Yeah, if you've been in touch, please do. I don't know whether we just haven't got very many super chats or we've got loads of very low value because, which is fine, by the way. It's just, I just need to be aware of how many we've got left to answer. We probably do need to turn them off now anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the super chats off now. So if you've chatted up to now, we will answer, but please no more super chats from this point. We'll answer everything that's on to this point, if
Very
that
good.
makes sense.
Andre DeCan just sneaks it in.
Yeah.
Very
I
good.
guess now it's time to turn the super chat off.
Guess it's time. Can't take no more of your cash.
Yeah.
Cash for questions.
Because that was not to be.
Oh dear.
Anyway,
Oh no, Connor Larkin sneaks in at the last second. Well done, Connor. Nice. Brilliant. Okay.
anyway, so yeah, pun-knotted bumhucker. Try different strings.
Then just take it back for good. If none of that works.
Yes, a playback for good. And you said, what about the Plek machine?
It's fantastic.
It's the Plek machine is as good as the person who knows how to use it.
Exactly that.
And when the person knows how to use it, and we know a few of those, it's an exceptional thing.
Charlie Chandler on the Plek
Yeah.
machine is really wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. But I am not entirely sure about, no, I'll just stop there. Binky says, do you have any tricks to balance between two different guitars, a Strat and a PRS Custom 22? They both need quite different amp and pedal settings.
It's so tricky.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, what have you got there? You've got a sheep and a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we designed the 321, I put a preamp in each, a switchable preamp, so that you could adjust the level. But of course, it's buffered. So to do that, you need to be happy with having a buffered signal at the start of the chain with that guitar. Lots of people are. But apart from that, it's one of those things where, you've just got to be really careful with it because, we talk about gain stages a lot. The most important thing to remember is this is the first gain stage. And if they're varying wildly between guitars, then it's going to have a massive impact. Now, it doesn't mean it's not doable, but it just means you just got to be aware of it. It might be that I'm going to have the Les Paul for the full-on rock songs, and then the Tellys for the Strats for something else. And you can use it for different dynamics and different songs and stuff. But it is tricky. Lots of you have heard the story. It took me years and years to find a Les Paul that I was happy with because it had to be low output and bright enough to hang with my Telecasters.
Yeah.
It took me ages.
Yeah. And then what are you trying to do? Are you trying to just make them the same volume but sound different because they are different guitars?
Yeah. So
or are you trying to make them sound kind of similar? Because we do know lots of people who end up having 3 or 4 guitars that they all want to roughly sound the same, which it just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
One of the reasons Dan and I have, a handful of classic guitars each is because when you pick up the Les Paul, you want it to sound like a Les Paul.
Yeah, totally.
And the whole rig is balanced to the point where the Strat sounds like the Strat and the Les Paul sounds like a Les Paul. Now, oh, cheers, mate. Sorry, I just want to let me. Thanks.
It's so satisfying, the magnetic.
But I had a Custom 22 once, and it had the HFS pickups in it, and it was a vicious guitar.
Yeah.
The mid range on it was like, whoa. We know how much Paul loves his mid-range, and he certainly did back then. Compare that with a Strat. I mean, it's, you know, chalk and day, isn't it?
Yep.
So you could try an EQ pedal if you want to just boost the Strat a bit or remove some of the chunk from the custom 22. You could have an always-on overdrive pedal that you use with the Strat, something like a Klon type or a Tube Screamer type, which will just fatten it up. So when you change to the Strat, turn that pedal on. Yeah. So again, just to reiterate what he just said, having your guitars that balance. So, you know, the guitars that I would gig with, my junior Strat, 335, Les Paul, maybe less so the Telly, but all the guitars that I would gig with, through my rig, I can plug them in. Nothing needs to change.
Yep, absolutely. And the other guitars, like recording and stuff, great. But you know, I'm exactly the same boat. They've got to work.
Yeah. But if I added a custom 22 to that, it wouldn't work because that would be too ferocious a guitar.
Yeah.
Shawnee is Cubs fan 1.
Hey, mate.
Hey, Shawnee. Another PRS question. He says, I've just bought a PRS S2 McCarty and a 594. Oh, no. An S2 McCarty 594, and I love it. What are your thoughts on the S2 series?
I don't know them.
So you've got top-end PRS.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk guitars for a minute, Dan.
Where is it?
I don't have an SE here, unfortunately.
Okay. I believe Mick is running off to get his DGT, I believe, which is a really beautiful guitar. I still can't play them, but Mick sounds like a mighty thing.
I really do love this guitar. I just can't play it sitting down. It's really annoying. Right. Here's your standard PRS guitar.
Look at that. Look at the autofocus kicking in. It's a thing of dreams. It is a beautiful guitar, that actually. It's my favourite sounding PRS. Really lovely.
Now,
What do the three knobs do?
I'll explain that in a minute. I want
Okay.
you to pay particular attention to the carve. Okay. So, as I just said to Dan, have a look at the way that guitar's carved.
Look at that. Listen to that sustain.
Here's an S2. Just a bit more simply built, the S2
Right.
series, so they're quite a bit less expensive.
That's a great guitar, though.
And this is a really cool guitar. Yeah, this is a single cut. I don't love the pickups, if I'm absolutely honest.
I know that song. I wrote that song.
So yeah, I think they're great, and I think they represent fantastic value for money. The SEs are generally very good guitars, but I think you just step up here for a little bit more money to something, you know, more pro. And I like them a lot.
Nico says dot inlays always sound better.
Yeah, I had birds on my custom 22. It was one of the reasons it went.
Really?
Yeah. I just couldn't make that guitar sound good. No, I just said I couldn't make the guitar sound good. Lots of people almost certainly could. I can make this one sound alright.
That one sounds magic.
Because it sounds like a Les Paul.
Les Paul with a wanger.
A wing wanger.
A wing wanger.
Yeah, congrats on your new guitar. Hope you love it. I'm kind of interested in the 594 thing. It's more traditional sort of sound.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. And you may know, or I hope you know, what McCarty is and who Ted McCarty was, and why his name is on the PRS guitars. It's a good bit of history, nice story. Ted McCarty was president of Gibson in the golden years, presided over all the best Gibson guitars. Insert Firebird X joke here. And he became really friendly with Paul Reed Smith towards the end of his life.
Right.
And was a great inspiration to Paul. So the guitars that say McCarty on bear Ted McCarty's name, and that's why.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes.
Paul would be really interesting to talk to.
He's fascinating.
Yeah.
There are a few American builders of things who are so fascinating, but they never answer the question you ask them. They always answer the question they want to ask. So they're never brilliant interviews, to be honest.
What I think you meant to ask me was...
Exactly that. But yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. Albus Band, Aaron, hello.
Hey, mate.
He says, I love the DS1 episode. Such inspired playing by you both. I've got a show this Saturday and I'll continue the TPS attire tradition. All my love and I hope you're well.
Thank you, buddy.
And to you, thanks for wearing your TPS tees at the gigs.
Yeah.
Adam D, hello from Albuquerque. My TPS merch just got delivered. It looks great. Love the show. Dan and Mick, thanks for all the info and entertainment. You guys rock.
Thank you. Is that who sang that song?
Prefab
Sprout. Prefab Sprout. Yeah. Is that on the Steve McQueen album?
I don't know.
Right.
Don't know.
It came on the other day on my playlist and I listened to it going, it just sonically, it is incredible.
It was, I don't know if it was a number one, it was a massive single, wasn't it? Hot dog jumping frog. Was that the chorus?
Sounds good.
Connor Larkin. Hello, Connor. Dan, are you still digging the hologram? I've been wanting to pick one up, but the price is scary. Also, love the idea of getting a full band context show. Can't wait to see it.
I am digging the hologram. It is an amazing thing. My issue with the hologram was I've got to put it in a wetter box because it doesn't have analog drive-through. So if you use it stereo, it's fine. But if you're only using one side in a wet dry rig, you're going to get latency. So I sort of struggled with it, and I tried the mood, and I found the mood really good. If I was using two cleaner amplifiers, I'd absolutely have the hologram on at the end and just do it thing, because I love what it does. But because I only want it to go onto one side, I just find the mood sort of a bit... It sounds very different to the hologram. The hologram is really intuitive to use, and you just turn dials and everything sounds amazing. The mood, I've got to work a bit harder.
Did you ever try the blooper?
Yeah, the blooper's amazing.
Yeah, I got on with the blooper a little bit better than the mood, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but if I was using it stereo or I just had or mono, then yes, absolutely amazing. Because I'm using it in a wet dry, it creates a bit of an issue. And I did ask them about it because everything else of theirs has had an analog drive-through. But what they were trying to achieve in that was a lot easier for them to do it digitally. And they've done it really well. It sounds fantastic.
Cool. Sean Kinnaman. Hello Sean. He says, I'm having some trouble matching an HC30 matchless and a Friedman B50 Deluxe in stereo because the effects loops are so very different sounding. Any
Very,
tips?
very different. Very
The
different.
problem is the matchless, not the Friedman.
No, Friedman... Dave Friedman designs the best effects loops in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I think he does them proper instrument level, and they just sound great. The matchless effects loop is out of control. It is like, what did it come in at? There's some like really high voltage.
Was it like proper line level or something?
It's like 4 times, 5 times line level.
So why?
I don't know. I'll tell you why. Because I had this issue with the hotbox as well, the matchless hotbox.
Yeah.
The sound of the matchless is the preamp, and it is running at really high voltage.
Yeah.
And it sounds great. The effects send is like directly from that preamp, and it's massive. So, and that's the reason that it's challenging to get things that work in the matchless effects loop, because they've got to be able to take a huge signal at the input. But the thing is, what I found is if I try to attenuate that from the send before it hits the pedals and comes back in, you lose that matchless vibe.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go straight in the front with everything. And it sounds like, for me, the matchless is such an amazing pedal platform, because you can have it loud and vibey, but it still takes pedals so unbelievably well.
Yeah.
So I don't really need I actually had the same discussion with Paul Davids with his HC30, because he called me and says, what's going on? I can't get this thing to work with my,
Right.
I'm like, just try going straight in the front. And he's doing that and loving it. So, yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky.
For all the reasons we screw up our faces, anyone every time mentions an effects loop, it's because of that.
Yeah.
It's because they're also flipping different. Pain. But if you like to run your amp gainy, obviously, as I'm guessing you do in the Friedman, then you don't really want to be shoving delay in the front of that. So
but just go wet dry. Just use the wet amps in the effects loop with the Friedman, and don't use them in the matchless.
He's talking about stereo.
Yeah. Okay. Don't go stereo. Go wet dry.
Try wet dry.
Wet dry. Because
Danny Pullen. Hi,
Hey,
Danny. He says, I was lucky enough to get the last space on the next experience day. Literally can't wait.
Oh, fantastic.
It will be great to see you again after meeting you at Guitar Breaks in Birmingham and the Birmingham Guitar Show. You both are leg ends.
Oh, bless you, mate.
Thanks, Danny. We'll see you in November. And brace yourself. Tommy Forson from Sweden says, hello, I rarely get to catch you in time. How about a show on the not so famous oddball vintage fuzzes? Can't remember if you've done it or not. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But it would be cool.
Yeah, we'll have a go.
Would be really cool. As you probably know, Tommy, when the fuzz thing happened in the 65 or whenever it was, everyone went, whoa, that's cool. Let's copy it.
Yeah.
And amend it slightly. And we've got no idea how these germanium transistors work, etc.
Etc.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. Actually, Beaver's just come in with a really good suggestion that instead of using the effects loop, you could use a power station and use that for the effects loop in the power station. It's a different thing because you are taking the speaker output of the amplifier and using that and attenuating that. Power station's amazing, and it's a really good way to do it. And that gets, bypasses that issue with the level on the effects stand. So that's another option. If you really want to use the effects in the loop, you could have the normal effects loop from the Friedman and a power station on the matchless and use the effects loop from that. That will give you your stereo loveliness.
Yeah. I don't know if there are still devices for managing effects loops as well, like Dumble did one.
The Dumbleator.
The Dumbleator. I think Two Rock make one.
Yeah.
So it might be that you get a separate valve effects loop.
Sure.
Like for $1,000, really.
Yep.
And the rest probably. I guess the Dumble one isn't $1,000 anymore. Brian Garcia. Hello, Brian. He says, last Q&A you spoke about Princeton speaker upgrades. I've got a WGS ET65 in my 12-inch Princeton. Sounds way bigger than a stock one and absolutely great recorded. Video idea after Friday's show, best distortion fuzz for your clean tone. That's nice.
I like it.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, we Dan and I played a really nice FSR Princeton in last time we went to the States that had a 12 in it. I think it might have even been a blue.
What's his the artist one?
Oh no! Did we play that? That's the Chris Stapleton one.
Chris Stapleton one. Yeah, Chris Stapleton. Yeah.
No, it was at Riff City.
Oh yes, that's right.
I think
that
it had a blue
killer.
in it. Sounded really great.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. And similarly, I don't know if you've ever played a Morgan PR12. I mean, that's just based on a Princeton, but it sounds very, very different. It sounds absolutely giant. The reverb is beautiful. Such a great amp.
Yep.
Such a great amp. Tim Chalmers. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
New guitar day. My first ever T-type in 55 years of playing.
Wow.
G&L classic ASAT tribute. Amazing quality and tones, especially with wet dry. Good on you.
Well done.
Nice. What
Great
colour
guitars.
is it then?
Great guitars.
I'm gonna hazard a guess and say it's natural. Apologise for yawning. Experience day, I was shattered all weekend.
I slept for 10 hours.
Wow.
And I haven't slept for 10 hours since I was probably 20 years.
Wow. Neil Pike. Hey Legends, what do you recommend for a governor type distortion for Johnny Greenwood tones?
Governor.
There you go.
It's hard to go past. Even the new Marshall Governor still sounds great. If you want something more specialist in that ballpark, the Andy Timmons, the AT Plus, is superb, and that'll get you those in that ballpark as well.
What is a governor?
It's like the high gain thing, but it's got that sort of compression in it as well.
Is it op amp and diodes? It's just, yeah. Standard overdrive pedal.
To a point. It's really interesting circuit actually.
There's a couple original ones on Reverb at the moment for between 150 and 400 quid. There's quite a few between 150 and 200. So I don't think that's too bad.
Yeah, it's a classic and sounds great. I think the original one doesn't have the output.
No.
It's got quite a low output, so you'll need to dime the thing.
Yeah.
But that's part of the sound. Something like the Andy Timmons pedal or the what was the other one? The what's the distortion? That the Charlie Brown, but the
Angry Charlie.
The Angry Charlie, yeah. That's a really good one as well.
I'm just going to Google it a minute.
Okay.
I can't ever remember plugging it in. I'm sure we have.
What's that?
The governor.
Oh yeah.
Did we?
Totally. Did a show on it.
Yeah.
Years ago though.
Right.
Yeah. Look,
Right.
it's right there. Skaboom.
I'm just wondering if anyone makes a famous clone.
Yeah, there's a few. Oh, the other thing to try is the Sir Riot.
Wilson Effects Sparkling Blue. Dan Electro Daddio. It's a governor clone.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. There we are then. On reverb.com there's a nice article with Analog Mike talking about the governor, so that may help.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
Yep, and no one's going to know it better than him. Hello from Phoenix, Arizona. Any place is alright just as long as I can forget I ever known her.
Rhymes Nona with Arizona. That's very good.
Discovered an artist who's new to me called Mark Orelli, and he won't be new to lots of you, and he's got a great voice, and he had me with the first line. I am just a Yankee boy, born and raised in Boston, where there ain't no wide open spaces to get lost in. I'm like,
that's very good.
I'm yours.
That's very good.
I'm in. I'm happy with that. Anyway, my band and I are doing our first gig soon, says Greg Harner.
Amazing.
What are some things to expect that might not be obvious? I hope she's there.
Yeah.
There'll be a person there, hopefully, because she goes to every gig I've ever played at.
Mine too.
And she'll be there dancing at the front with about an inch of warm cider or wine. And despite there only being about an inch of it in the glass, which will equate to less than 100 millilitres, she manages to spill about 9 pints of it all over my pedal board. So look out for her. Buy her a drink. Sometimes it's him. I reckon her brother and sister.
Yep.
It's usually her, though, to be fair.
Have some coasters set up on the top of your amplifier. Just, when you walk away mid-set, you'll come back and there'll just be drinks everywhere.
Yeah.
But some coasters there.
That
be
happens.
welcoming. Be a welcoming host.
Yeah.
other things.
If you've not done gigs before, it says they're your first band shows, but if you've done other band shows, not sure if you have or not. If you haven't done a lot of live playing, the thing that will probably surprise you more than anything else is your guitar will sound literally worlds different than it did in rehearsal and at home, and that will really spin you out.
Yep. Primarily because in that environment, everything changes, and you can rehearse to your heart's content. But when you get in that environment and everyone's got a little bit of nervous energy, like hit a little bit harder, play a little bit, and then, like the show we did on Friday, the difference on the deluxe reverb going between 4 and 6, everything changes.
Yeah.
So just be aware for that. Also be aware that having loads of gain dialed in sounds great when you're at home rehearsing and stuff, but in the gig situation could actually be a downfall. You go to step on it and everything sort of closes down.
It's just going to mean that no one can hear you.
Yeah. So it can be beneficial to actually dial the gain back a little bit, keep some level of dynamics in there.
Yeah.
And just have fun, mate. It's awesome. Enjoy your band's first gig. It's great.
Don't know what the crowd's going to be like. Hopefully you've got people there, but if there aren't people there, expect the audience to be utterly ambivalent to whatever you do, no matter how good you are.
Except 4 minutes before you end.
And then
they're all up on their feet, they're jumping around, and then you start packing up and they're all saying, no,
you're
why?
the best band I've ever heard, please play all night.
Yeah,
Like, well, we've been playing for 2 hours and you weren't interested for the first hour and 54 minutes. So if you've done too many gigs then, do you think that's it?
Maybe.
Enjoy it. Try if you can, if it's even possible, to just be in the moment and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about all the mucky muck. Just have schwang and love it.
Mucky muck be gone.
Yeah, Sub Rosa. Mick, I've been listening to SRV lately. How do you rate the 4 studio albums in order? I love the fuzz on In Step, but leaning second LP towards the second LP as most completely SRV. Okay, so Texas Flood, 1983, and then, I don't know what order they came in. Soul to Soul, Couldn't Stand the Weather, and In Step. So Texas Flood, Soul to Soul, Couldn't Stand the Weather, and In Step.
Which one was Riviera Paradise on?
In Step.
All right, that'll be at the bottom.
Dan hates Riviera Paradise because Stevie Ray plays all his minor pentatonic licks over all the chords and it sends Dan nuts.
It came on the car today and I thought, I'm going to give it another go. It's been a while. I'm going to give it another go. Now, what I don't understand is he plays the chords at the start of the song.
Yeah.
He knows what the chords are. But when it comes to the solo, he stays in that one position and I'm screaming at the stereo. No!
Yeah, if you're going to have some fancy chords,
it just triggers me.
Please play the right notes. It doesn't trigger me at all, but then that's the difference between me and him, I suppose.
Yeah.
Instep's the best sounding record, I think, production-wise, because it's a bit more ambitious. Although the middle two have got so much vibe about them, and I totally get what you're saying. I don't like the sound of Texas Flood at all.
Oh, interesting.
I would love for somebody to reproduce it.
What year was Live Alive?
Mid-80s.
Okay.
86, 87.
Because I loved that album. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's cool.
It just had a vibe to it that I thought was really cool.
They had to do a lot of fixing on that record.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hell of a lot. So yeah, I love them all actually. Probably Texas Flood's my least favourite Stevie Ray record.
Right.
Weirdly.
What's the one was on the cover with the poncho and the hat?
In Step.
That's In Step.
Yeah.
Because that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soul to Soul, he's on the front with the 335.
Ah.
And Couldn't Stand the Weather. Can't even remember what's on the front of Couldn't Stand the Weather.
Hurricane.
I've probably got at least 6 copies of each.
Very good.
Yeah, good. Enjoy that. I think Soul to Soul, I'm going to say, is my favourite Stevie Ray record. I'm going to say it. There you go.
Isn't that a 90s soul band?
Yeah, very influential.
Just with Stevie.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Back to life. Mike 2203 fan. Mike, it was so great to meet you on Friday. Thanks for coming down. Thank you for bringing your 2061, which we had large schwang with.
It was awesome.
Mike says, hi guys, fab TPS day, thank you. If you tune a telly to E flat and normally use 10s, should you use heavier strings? Does a tech need to tweak the neck?
Possibly. Depends on the relief that's in the neck. But try it. I mean, because I'm using 11 to 52s on my tellies anyway, and I go down to E flat and it feels fine and nothing really moves. It's okay. It might move a bit, but it's just try it. Just whatever you've got on the guitar now, just tune down to E flat and just see what difference it makes. No, it will make a difference, and the strings will feel really slinky. And if it does make a difference, just go up a gauge of string, and that'll pull everything back in line.
Yeah, that's what I usually find. If you go up by, and if it's just one gauge of string, if you go from 10s to 11s, if your guitar is set up to within a nanometer of its life,
Nice, safe, well done.
Then yes, you might want to do some attention to the nut. You might want to tweak the truss rod a bit. But if, like most of us, the guitar is there or thereabouts, it's going to take a string gauge up and down.
Sure.
What's most interesting is the change in tension, which could move your truss rod a little bit. But unless you've got like a super flat neck or a critically low action, I would imagine that you just bang on a heavier set of strings, go to E flat, and you'll be all fine on a telly.
Yep.
Good luck, Mike. It's a great thing. People often scoff when we say this, but it's a different instrument, an E flat.
I've just fallen in love with it.
Yeah.
Everything's an E flat now.
It's
great.
Yeah.
Really great.
Sam M. Hi both. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Sam.
What's your best or favourite overdrive for a Telecaster? Fender and Vox amps he uses. Also, I got my first fuzz face recently. It's amazing.
Excellent. Well, if you like the fuzz face, that's brilliant. If you're using Fender and Vox amplifiers, there's an overdrive pedal called the Hot Cake, which is absolutely brilliant into bright amplifiers. If you're running those amplifiers with plenty of headroom, the Hot Cake just sounds magic. The ODR1 is hard to go past that. It depends on how much gain. So,
That was a weird
it's still hard to go past the D&M drive for me for that. For the if I want to push it a bit, give it a bit more raucous. What else? Oh, there's two actually from Greer. There's the Southland and there is the Lightspeed. They are absolutely superb. Really, really great. Blues Driver is also awesome.
Yeah. What I like about tellies is you can afford to be a bit more aggressive on the distortion because the output guitar,
the front of the note is so banging,
and it will give you a nice treble overdrive rather than a scratchy one which you get from a Strat in the same way. So normally with Strats and stuff, I'd be saying something with a mid hump. You I would want it much less with a telly. So Blues Driver, King of Tone. King of Tone does have a bit of a nose on it, and I actually prefer the Prince of Tone for what it's worth.
Yeah,
because I think it's got more of a nose on it.
Yeah.
The aforementioned Governor. Anything sort of derived of that, something with a bit more edge on it, I think works. And in that respect, the Nobles ODR1 is a good shout.
Nobles ODR1's a great shout. And anything in the Blues Driver lineage, the Blues Breaker lineage, would also be great.
I was testing out a new Dumble voiced overdrive pedal just recently for somebody. And obviously I can't say what it is because it hasn't come out, but of the Dumble type overdrive, some of them sound more compressed and what we think of as the Dumble sound, like really compressed, no top end, just like, that's not what a Dumble sounds like to me at all.
Yeah.
And some of them sound much more aggressive, and this was definitely in that ballpark. And that I had, actually Red and also my telly and I was testing it with that, and that was Robin Ford City.
Seriously?
Absolutely
Wow.
brilliant. So I would go with a really nice Dumble style.
That's a great
overdrive
shout.
would be my recommendation.
The Gladio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gladio's
go.
a good shout actually. The Cornerstone Gladio, either the double one or the SC version.
Very good.
Good luck. Mark Alexander. Hello, Mark.
Hello,
He
Mark.
says, just saying hi. Really enjoy your chats.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Jerry Kozak, apologies. He says, thanks for your show. I appreciate having a place to go for insight and answers to my pedal and amp journey. You've made me sound better.
Wow.
That's awesome, Jerry.
That's so good.
That's the best thing anyone could say. You know, if you watch TPS and it helps you enjoy it more, and if you sound better too,
Yep.
that's awesome.
You've made you sound better just by paying attention and putting it in practice and finding out what you connect with. That's the best thing ever, mate. Well done.
Sifting through to find some better questions, really, is what it's all about, isn't it?
There you go.
Nick Orr, hello from Ann Arbor as well. We've had 2 people from Ann Arbor on.
Excellent.
I don't know where Ann Arbor is. I knew Ann Arborist once. Michigan.
Ah.
Yeah. My JTM 45 reissue sounds great until I crank it. Too bassy, even at 0. Would you mod it to find a workaround?
You can mod it. You can. They're not that difficult to mod. There's some, simple things. But those also have a look at the cab that you're using that into.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
I know what you mean, actually. The 2061 at the weekend on Friday, absolutely flat out, was just a touch too bassy.
Right.
For me. A clon on the front of that would solve that completely.
Sure.
So you could try something like... you could try an EQ pedal for a start and just shape it a bit so that you weren't adding an overdrive pedal as such. But you know what? A clon type boost is just such a wonderful thing into a crank Marshall. Ask David Grissom is all I would say about that. Yeah, or what he said, have it modded. I'm sort of intrigued that you get to crank it that much. So are you using an attenuator? And if you are, that's going to be causing you all kinds of EQ problems. So you might need to change out your attenuator for one that's got some control over the bottom end. But if you are just cranking it,
God bless
happy
you.
days.
Yep.
Good luck. Handy FX, no question. Just wanted to give some support. Love the board challenge videos. Can't wait for the next one. Says Handy
thank
FX.
you.
Actually, the next challenge will feature the aforementioned simplifier.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
We're going to do a direct board each. And one of us is only going to be allowed to use gear before 1986 for a very specific reason.
Excellent.
So that will be the next challenge video we do. Thank you, Handy. Keith Friedman. Hello, Keith. Hello from Yuma, Arizona. I recently got a D&M drive.
Well done, mate. Thank you.
And I'm wondering what voltage I should power it at. My supply does 9 volt and 12 volts, which should be best.
9.
9's fine.
Yeah.
It's my side's got a charge pump, puts the internal voltage to the pedal up. Plenty of headroom, endless headroom in that pedal. So 9 is absolutely fine.
Yep.
Thank you for buying one, and we hope you love it as much as we do.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Elena Stacey, hello from Ann Arbor.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's 3.
They're all living. They're on the same flat.
Yeah. I started building my own pedals, and it's fascinating. Shout out to you two and JHS Josh for this new rabbit hole.
Amazing.
Good on you, Elena. Dan and I, we talked. We get asked fairly frequently, do we build pedals, and if we don't, why not? And my answer has always been, I don't have enough time, and that'll be Bev. Frankly, Marcus Reeves is much better at building pedals than I am, so
Totally.
I'd rather he did it. However, I have been looking at that fuzz face kit, bag of fuzz face.
Oh, yeah.
That George Tripp's left, and I'm thinking, I'm going to put that together. I think we should do it for a show.
Okay, that's a great idea.
And do it. But good on you, Elena, and have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. How cool. Marco Barrosi. Hello, Marco. Leg ends. What news on the Kincaid? Would love a show on acoustics. I know I'm probably the only one, but a man can hope.
So, where are we at? I filmed on Wednesday. We were putting the top on, so the body's basically done now. Johnny has started shaping the neck, and I'm filming on Wednesday morning with him, and I believe we may be attaching the neck to the guitar.
Wow.
I could be completely wrong. Actually, no, we're not.
The bat
No,
will have a handle.
we'll be putting the fingerboard on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, we're there somewhere. It has been the most incredible process to be a part of. Pure artisanship.
Yeah.
Decades and decades of experience going into this thing and watching the way he works with the wood and gets it to yield to the vision that he has. It's like, it's inspiring and humbling.
Yeah.
You know.
It is incredible, isn't
Oh, far out. It's amazing. And then he before the top and bottom went on, so he had the sides all formed, and he picks it up and he goes, flicks it just goes, bing, and it just rings like a bell. It's like, whoa. He goes,
Awesome.
what a lovely ringy thing. Bing. Oh, man. So good.
it? That's exciting. That is
Yeah.
exciting.
So, yeah, filming the entire process.
BV has heard from Nick Orr, and Nick uses the 2061 CX cab and no attenuators. See, now I'm surprised because the 2061 cab should have 70th anniversary big heavy magnet speakers. Now they do, I guess they probably do put out a bit more bass than a medium magnet greenback, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have quite a significant upper mid-range and treble kit
They
too.
do. What guitar are you using?
Yeah, that's my next thing. So number one, make sure you've got the treble and the presence cranked, which I'm guessing you have. You could turn down the normal channel a bit because that obviously puts out more bass than the high treble channel. And then what your man said.
Yeah, because that'll have a massive impact. Try a couple of guitars. You plug a Telecaster into that, I guarantee you it won't be too much bottom end. You'll be begging for bottom end.
Which is an interesting thought. So an acoustic show. Yeah, I think we should do it, Marco. I think we're probably in a position where we could do it now. Talk about our favourite acoustic guitars and what we do with them, and would be appropriate when Dan gets his new one.
Yeah.
And then we'll follow it up 2 years later when it's
Weathered.
when it's been beaten in.
We've beaten him by the time it gets here.
Tony Vardy. Hi Tony. He says, hi Leggins, where in the chain would you put a double tracker such as the Keeley 30 milliseconds, and how much delay and reverb would you recommend using with it?
Interesting. I put a... After any modulation, gain stages modulation, that I'd have the double tracker before any long delays and reverbs. Not that I would necessarily want to layer the long delays and reverbs with the double tracker, but to me, it sounds great. It sounds better having the double tracker going to longer delays than the longer delays going into a double tracker. So yeah, I'd put it after the gain stages, after the modulation, then double tracker.
There you go. Nice. I never use a double tracker, but I quite often use one of my delays set as a really, really, really short slapback, which is sort of a similar thing, and I'll quite happily have that on and just a normal 335 millisecond delay on, which I always call my Robin Ford delay, even though it probably isn't 335. I just like the number.
That's very good.
Garrick Niffenegger says, Dan, your Tele neck pickup always sounds so clear. I have a stock 64 American vintage reissue and mine is mud. Should I focus on changing the EQ or should I consider a different pickup?
So I suffered with this. I was always trying to get more top end out of my Tele neck pickup. It all depends on what it is. It might be that you need a different neck pickup. the neck pickup in Butters, the 52 Blackguard, was so dark, and I swapped that out for an Analog Man Big T neck pickup, and it was just like, whoa, like really bright, lovely. My other two tellies, the 65 and Red, I've actually bypassed the tone control on the neck pickup for those guitars.
Yep.
And it's a massive difference.
Makes a significant difference.
Yeah, it just gives, especially rolling down when I'm using the volume control.
Yeah.
It just retains clarity and stuff. So yeah, bridge pickup and the middle position, the tone control is still active, but on the neck position, the tone control is bypassed, and that gives quite a bit of bite back. So try that first, and if that doesn't work, then you might be hunting for a new neck pickup.
Yeah.
If that clarity is important to you, anything that's got the tall magnets, there's a what's the Fender pickup that they used in
Twisted
the
telly.
Twisted telly neck pickup is wonderful for that. It's almost Stratty.
Yeah, it's a step towards a Strat.
Yeah,
Strat
really cool.
thing. Yeah, definitely try that. Detach it from the tone control. In the first instance, you'll be surprised at what a difference that makes.
Yeah.
More on the cab. It is greenback loaded.
Okay.
And it's a PRS hollow body, which I think there's your issue.
Hello.
Going to be a lot of bottom end in that guitar, given that it's hollow, especially on the neck pickup.
Yep. Just grab a different guitar to try.
Yeah, I mean, not that you want to go buying more guitars. You could try different speakers in that cab. Something that's where its EQ curve is significantly different, and something with more bite.
Yeah.
May be the answer. It will also get a lot louder, which you might not necessarily want. So if you swap those greenbacks out for the anniversary 30-watt ones, it will get louder because they're a little bit more efficient.
Yeah,
that's
it's
what's
a
in.
closed-back cab, though, right?
It is. Yeah. Well, no, some of them have got half open.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a couple of 2061 cabs down the years. Have you still got yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan's got one which has got the G12H anniversary speaker, so 30-watt heavy magnet, and yours is completely closed, isn't it?
Completely closed, and it's the best 2x12.
It really does sound fantastic, and I've seen a few of them that have got a half, like a strip of open.
Right.
So I don't know what the correct spec is. So yeah, maybe think about a speaker swap.
Yep. Interesting.
Jacob Bartelt again, he says, thanks, I will work on that solution for noise. Have you heard of Veritas guitars? You should get them on the show. Lee did them, I think, for a minute there at Anderton's. Or he still does it. Very expensive, nice looking things. Yeah, God, I'm going to sound very grumpy, Jacob, but I just sort of lost interest in all guitars that aren't pre-64.
Right.
Design-wise.
Right.
Just because I'm still so transfixed by how a Strat Telly Les Paul Junior V Gretches, I'm just totally transfixed at how those seminal designs totally made rock music and continue to do so. Don't get me wrong, I think PRS plays a big part in that whole discussion. He did something genuinely different and valuable and added to it, and you could talk about it for ages. There's plenty of great designers down the years, but my heart is just so strongly with those seminal designs, and the one chink in my armour is Collings, because I think that's the company that's doing it now. They're like vintage guitars made today for me personally, and it is a very personal opinion.
Yep, totally.
So also working on a guitar magazine for 20 years. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? You do get a bit jaded.
Do anything for 20 years, and you're going to, oh man.
You get a bit jaded with new guitars.
I remember
being the thing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh God, that sounds really grumpy. Yeah. That sounds really grumpy. Sorry, Jacob. James Roy. Hi from New York City. Thanks for all your tips. Need to go around the block a few times with my DS1 now. Have you ever hit your Princeton with one?
No.
be interesting. That
Be very interesting.
Assume it's going to be a mess, but that could be a glorious mess.
That would be a great show, great thing to do when we do the speaker swap, to see how the new speaker holds all that stuff. I had a look on the weekend at some DS mods. The current, like what I could see out there, over 40 DS mods, sort of, you know, published and out there from reputable modders. It's really interesting. So I might do some DS mods, see which ones I like.
Cool, because you've got 2 original ones, haven't you?
I've got 2 original ones. I think, but I'll probably leave those as they are.
You can't
find
find a non SM.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alan Rutherford says, so in college, my instructor had me play Riviera Paradise as a project while playing the changes. It was a very interesting project.
There you go.
So you had to actually play the changes, yeah.
The thing is, when the keyboard solo comes in and everything builds, and because it's, you know, it's really great. What I find with when Steve is doing his thing is that when the changes come in, everything drops because he's not exactly sure what to do, and so the energy sort of goes down. So he doesn't really build it to a point where I'm like, it doesn't take me on a journey that he normally does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just find it so frustrating. Yeah, anyway. God, who am I to... I'm sitting here going, bloody Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's just, yeah.
Mads Haig says, hello Mads, when stacking gain pedals, playing a full chord is too much of a mess. Playing single notes doesn't satisfy the need, however.
It depends on how you're stacking the gain pedals.
So what do you have any tricks for taking your tone to another level without adding more gain?
Just turn the gain down on the pedals. Right. Mike will remember this from Friday. We did this really great thing on stacking gain on his board. And the problem is, if you got to a point where everything's limiting and you try to boost it with more gain, it's got nowhere to go and it's going to sound awful. But if you can boost it or boost into something that has somewhere to go, then you are going these cascading gain stages. And when that's working and you get all these extra harmonics and it can sound amazing.
Yeah.
But if you are boosting like high gain into high gain, it's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much. That's what you're talking about when you're saying it's messy, because what's happening, all those extra harmonics that are being thrown into the mix there with your extra gain are all going clashing against one another. So exactly what he said, turn the gain down. And actually when stacking pedals, it's so satisfying to just run them almost at minimum gain, with plenty of volume. So they are overdriving one another. And then what you can get, depending on the pedals, is this harmonic interest happening, because it's not all crashing into one another. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. So you've got the pedals, you've got them ready to go, turn the gain down. Turn the gain down.
Brian Garcia says, my number one lesson from TPS, gain down, volume up, changed my life. There you go.
Awesome.
There's a t-shirt.
Guys, I'm looking for a new speaker for my Blackstar HT40, says Anthony Barber. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Anthony.
What are your thoughts? Do you have any suggestions? Okay, I need to know what's in it first. I imagine it's an OEM...
Get a 4x12, put 4 Celestian Blues in there.
It has a 12-inch Celestian speaker, so it will be an OEM speaker that Blackstar has made by Celestian.
Neodymium thing, is it?
No, doubt it. Yeah. So do some research on the specs of the speaker. Some things you might want to think about are, what weight is the magnet? How big is the magnet? How sensitive is it? Like, what's its efficiency rating? Typically, guitar speakers somewhere between like 96 and 102. Most of them are 98 to 100, 97 to 100, something like that. But the difference between like a 97 dB rated speaker and a 101 dB rated speaker is significant. It's
huge.
Yeah, massive. You will hear a fairly massive volume jump. So what do you want the new speaker to do? And if you can answer that question, do you want it to have more high end? Do you want it to have more low end? Do you want it to be louder? Do you want it to be less loud? If you can understand a little bit about the specs of the speaker that's in there currently, it will help you decide where you want to go next. Now, my recollections of the HT40 is it's a little boxy sounding because it's not a very big box. So I my personal, from standard spec, what I would prefer in an HT40 is a wider frequency spectrum, more bass and more treble. And
Right.
for that, I would choose, even though it's only rated at 30 watts, I would choose something like the G12H
Yeah.
Celestion. It's very rare that a vintage 30 doesn't improve a standard speaker.
Such a great speaker.
Yep. Despised by many for reasons I don't really understand. It's got a considerable kick in the upper mid-range. It's got plenty of bass and it's nicely efficient. It's a really, really nice speaker.
Yeah.
Now, here we are saying the names of speakers. Of course, they're not all the same. They've been made in different places down the years. You can buy two and they will sound slightly different. But yeah, I would think about something like that, which has got a slightly extended frequency response, and maybe a heavy magnet, which will just give it a bit more.
Yeah.
A bit more of that. Just check that it will fit in the box, because sometimes if the magnet's much bigger, it might foul, for example, if you've got a cage over the tubes, or I don't know, it just might not fit. But I'd go there. Never tried an Alnico speaker in an amp like that. Could be good, but I'd stick with a ceramic magnet speaker. And then there's the whole world of American voice speakers. Your Eminences and your WGSs and your Jensens and stuff. Yeah, that is a rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole. But yeah, do some research on the spec of the standard speaker. Decide how you want it different. What do you want that's different? And that will help you go from there.
Yeah. Makes a massive deal. Don't forget that the designers of the amplifier will spec a speaker to go with the amplifier. So, you know, as opposed to just thinking that a speaker has a sound, the speaker's just reacting to what goes into it. So, you know, as Mick said, if you're thinking it sounds too boxy, I need more frequency range, you're looking for something that has got those extended frequencies in it. You know, another thing is to take the amp and plug it into a few heads.
Yeah.
Plug it into a few cabs.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
See how you go. Because you can never really tell until you plug these things in.
No. And it's always surprising what a
Always
colossal
surprising.
difference it makes. Good luck. Chuck PGH. Hello, Chuck. He says, hello from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Is there a difference between the chorus option from a flanger versus the chorus option from a vibrato?
It depends on the vibrato. So I'm using the Diamond vibrato at the moment, and sounds completely different than the vibrato option in my the Jam Pedals Waterfall. It all depends. It basically it all depends around the time that it's based upon, right? So the chorus, the delay time in a chorus, you know, from 30 to, you know, upwards, you know, shy of 100 milliseconds. The delay time in the flanger starts at like, you know, a millisecond up to like 15 milliseconds. And that's
a bass accompaniment.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Now that's a big deal, especially when it comes to mixing that in with the original sound. So yeah, the modulation between chorus pedals are different. It depends on so many factors on how they're doing the filtering and all that stuff. But yeah, I would say the vibrato option from a flanger pedal, generally speaking, tends to be a bit tighter because the filters they put in to make it all work. That's uncontrollable now. Yeah, there's a difference there, for sure. I can do that here.
If you've never listened to Portrait of Tracy by Jaco Pastorius, call it up now. It starts like this.
That's very good. Does it actually start like that?
It actually
Nick
does.
Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't really. It's
It
beautiful.
actually does start like that. That's as far as I got. My bass player friend Paul learned the whole thing start to finish. Although apparently the last chord is impossible to play unless you are Jaco.
Okay.
It goes
Just like that.
Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to play the bass down.
Very good.
I'm really looking forward to slapping the bass tomorrow.
Slap on the bass.
So we're doing, me, Dan and Dougie are going to have a jam and do some stuff. Paddy, if you are watching, don't freak out. We will get you in as well. We're just going to do the three of us to begin with to sort of see if it works. And then then
Simming says, our bass player. He wrote this.
it's our new direction. And then if it
We're
works,
going out to play some sort of free-form jazz exploration to a festival
for the
crowd.
festival crowd, we will get a proper bass player in, but you'll have to put up with me and Dan slapping the bass for a minute. And
I am going to slap at some point in your jam.
It will
Just
give
one thing.
It will give the guitar the more room to breathe as well, because everyone wants that. Anyway,
Indeed.
Chuck, I'm really sorry for playing the bass all over your answer to your question, and I just wanted to get Dan in the mood.
Bloody hell.
Pet Moxie wants some suggestions. Pet Moxie wants some suggestions on some more pedals to get down.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, mate, I wouldn't be fucking slapping the bass if I wanted to get you in the mood.
You'd be clubbing me with the big amp.
Yeah, I'd get some Slayer on, mate.
Oh, man.
Anyway, he wants
Funny.
some suggestions for some new pedals. He's currently got a UA Starlight,
Nice.
which is a delay, a UA Astro, which is a modulation,
Nice.
Sweet Tea version 3, which is a high gain overdrive,
Very nice.
Whitey Tighty, which is a compressor, and a Boss DS1 and a Boss Looper. So he wants to know what he should add to that mix.
You need some low gain stuff.
Yeah.
Look at ODR1 is great. What we said before, the Greer
Lightspeed, a Klon
Lightspeed.
type
Klon type, very good.
is always a good shot. You don't see what amp or guitar you've got, but I mean, you've got most of the bases covered there. A really spectacular reverb would be cool, because
Yeah.
you've got the delay and mod, so you may as well.
Curtis R says, receive the
get
monk.
reverb.
Monk would be a good shout on that one.
Yes, there you go.
Get some wobble.
There you go.
Wobble for life.
I'm just going to check the Astra is the modulation. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so add the UA reverb.
Yeah.
It's really good. And what else? An octave.
We go on and on.
Octave would work. I would say look for the pedal types that you don't have and fill in. But
Depends how adventurous you are as well. If you go to Death by Audio or Chase Bliss or thank you. Who does the Rainbow Machine?
that's my version of Donna Lee
Oh, lovely.
with all the wrong notes and not being able to play the bass.
All the wrong notes in the right order.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Well, it is jazz.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. I'm just waiting for someone to tell me who the Rainbow Machine is made by, because for some reason,
Earthquaker Devices.
Earthquaker Devices. So check those guys out. If you're looking, sorry, I can't think. If you're looking for something to,
I'm playing the chicken.
I know, it's really good. If you're looking for something to sort of be inspired by and make some noise and have some fun, check out some of their stuff. It's great. If what you're feeling is a gap in your sonic palette, whether it's a low gain gap or a reverb or some wobble, the question is, as opposed to what I should get, the question should be what am I missing? What do I feel that would make me whole? The John Schofield version of that with him is just glorious. Oh, I believe Rhett's on. Mr. Rhett Shell. Thank you for joining us, Rhett.
Hello, Rhett.
Hope you're well, buddy.
That B flat's for you.
This B flat's for you.
It's on your direction. Sorry, I just love
Don't
playing
be
the
like
bass.
this.
Love playing the bass.
Cool.
He says he loves XTC. Does Pet Moxie?
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, Dan
Yeah.
loves XTC.
I love XTC.
He was in a band with the geezer.
I was in a band with the geese. I was in a band with Dave Gregory.
Todd Morgan. Now that I've caught you live, I have no idea what to ask. Says Todd Morgan. At least I can let you know you've been my main source of inspiration after struggling for a while. Thanks for the education and the laughs. Good on you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
We hope you're doing better.
Yeah, and welcome, and lovely to have you.
And you are welcome. Yeah, we it was really interesting on Friday actually. As much as it was 8 people geeking out on gear, it was also kind of like a men's therapy session. It was very, very nice to hang out with humans and talk about stuff.
Yeah, some
It was-
really open conversation. It was remarkable.
It was worthwhile for that, even without any of the guitar tomfoolery.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. And Todd, we hope you're doing okay. Alan Gorham. Al, how are you? I'm officially old. Maisie's 10 today, but we didn't get her pedals. Instead, a Yamaha Student Classical, so she can learn properly a la Dan. She still thinks we sound good though, Mick. Because 10. Well, congratulations to Maisie.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. It's,
congratulations.
good discipline, that.
Yep. Rhett says B flat is my favourite note. Thank you. You're
Thanks.
very welcome.
Thanks, Rhett.
From the heart, buddy. So,
Sax players love B flat.
do they?
Yeah,
Right.
they do. They don't like
They like B flat and E flat.
straight keys. Yeah.
Yeah.
They like wonky keys.
Right.
Yeah.
It's as if they were tuned in E flat.
Yeah, there is a
You know.
there is a reason for it.
Sure. Wonderful that it's a Yamaha classical guitar
Yep.
that she's got.
Great choice.
Really, really fantastic choice. And if she's going to be learning properly, that's
I think it's,
classical guitar is a wonderful thing.
what I think is really great about it is that you learn it all properly and then you break it all
Very important.
when you're
Very
17
important.
and you but it's still there. It's underpinning it all.
One of the last lessons I had with when I was studying in Australia, I had a wonderful jazz guitar teacher called Clive Morton from the Conservatorium of Music in Queensland, and he was the head of the jazz department. And at the end, remember, he'd come up around, but just before we all broke up, we were having our exams and stuff, and he was just the most phenomenal, inspirational guitar teacher. And he, at the end of the lesson, he would, like our last lesson, he says, "Right, now, you know all the stuff. So you got to go out and get some really bad habits. You got to go out and, get your heart broken a few times. You got to go and experience some stuff and then just forget it all and then just, get some emotion into your playing." You see, because, you can know all the stuff in the world, but without some heart and soul behind it, doesning mean anything.
Yeah,
I thought, and I'll never forget him. That's the one lesson I'll never forget him saying. I've forgotten everything else. and remember him saying that.
Is Shiny Are You Kid? Shiny Are You Kid. Sorry, I can't say that word. Is Shinri? Is Shinri You Kid? Is Shinri You Kid?
Awesome. Yes.
Says
7 p.m.
I'm trying to find an amp to use for spacey clean to blues rock to complement my EVH. I don't know whether that's an EVH amp or an EVH guitar. For apartment and small gigs, I'm torn between an AC15 and a deluxe reverb.
I've got to go with the deluxe on that one.
I would go for the deluxe if I can turn it up to 6 all the time.
but he needs spacey clean.
Yeah. So the Deluxe has got a bit more headroom. I just don't like it without the mid-range.
No, I understand. Oh, yeah, but it's there if you...
There is a sweet spot
It's
in there
tricky,
somewhere.
because but the opposite side to that coin is the AC-15.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, the AC-15 sounds amazing. But it's going to run out of headroom pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a million miles apart, are they?
No.
22 watts.
It's tricky.
15 watts.
If you...
For low volume, I would definitely go. For lower volume, I would definitely go AC-15, just because I think the mid-range is in a nicer
mid-range
place.
is in a better place for low volume.
Crankier, I would go Deluxe.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Work out where you are
Yeah.
volume-wise.
Yeah. Trying to think what else we could throw in there, which might do a good job of both. Yeah, I'm sure there's some other amps out there that would fill that gap pretty well, like a Victory V40, for example.
That's a great shout. The lunchbox.
Yeah, I don't know if it might be a lot more expensive because it's America. Here they're cheaper, certainly than the Fender. Yeah,
it is hard to go past the AC-15.
It is. It's such a good amp.
It's such a great amplifier.
Yeah, I always enjoy playing it. Plus, it's got a reverb and tremolo built in, as is the Deluxe, I suppose. So that's all good. Andre Ducan. He says, "Help! I'm seeing Aerosmith in July with backstage tickets to meet the boys.
We're not worthy."
That is pretty flippin' cool. Which TPS t-shirt would go best with my brown snakeskin trousers?
Okay. It's an important question.
It is.
We're here to help.
We are.
Right. So there's some new teas in. We've got the Stealth Stompio.
I think that we do an All You Need Is Fuzz with a purpley type logo. I think that would go pretty well.
Very good. That's a really good shout.
I think that would suit. The 3 knobs, I think, would go pretty well. There's one with 3 knobs across it.
But no, I think you're in the right ballpark with that.
Yeah.
With the fuzz, the All You Need Is Fuzz one.
All You Need Is Fuzz. Yeah.
Purple and brown.
I hope they're still as good as when I saw them in 2010 or something. They were, I think, probably the best live band I've ever seen.
Seriously.
They were just spectacular.
Wow.
The energy was, even all those years later, they were fab. I'm not even a massive fan of old Joe Perry's guitar playing, if I'm honest.
Right.
But as a band, it was spectacular. And Mr. Tyler,
He's something else. He is something else. Yeah.
dude does look a bit like a lady. Connor Larkin. I know this was a point of discussion on last week's Q&A, but you gents really should check out the Ibanez Distortion clone.
Yes. We've got a few people that have brought that up.
Low gain tubey goodness. Okay,
Yep.
let's find one.
Yep.
Someone was saying about the overdrive pedal for the Johnny Greenwood sound earlier. A Rat would be as good as anything.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Do a program with weird modulation pedals and ideas on how to use them, like ring modulators, envelope filters, arpanoid, which is a polyphonic pitch arpeggiator, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Says A. Antonson. That would be good. I would be largely lost, but I think it would be good.
Well, but that's it. It's just showing the fun, isn't it? It's showing the, what do we think we can eke out of this thing?
If indeed there was any fun, Dan, and I wasn't just crying all the way through it.
That'd be fun for me.
Yeah, there you go. It's all about balance. We're talking about
Now I'm
balance
going
today.
to replicate mixed tears with the Apinator.
It's a sonic recreation of mixed tears. Yeah.
Very good.
Seth E wants to know if we've ever tried using both deluxe reverb inputs at once. That's what I do. using a humdinger for the phase flip.
Oh, wicked.
We should totally try that.
Yeah,
That's pretty interesting,
It's
actually.
it's an interesting thing to do. So on those 2-input, 4-input type amplifiers, there's some really cool things that you can do. For example, having, splitting the signal, and I used to do it with the AC30 actually, would split the signal. One side would go through a tape delay, and so I'd have a wet dry in the same amp. It's not wet dry obviously, but the my direct signal will be going to the normal channel, and the delayed signal will be going into the treble boost channel, and I could use the treble boost channel as the master for the delay. It's really cool. There's a few things that you can do like that. Like with a 4-channel amplifier, if you've got a low enough impedance in the amplifier, the 4-input amplifiers going into, say, the bright channel, where you normally link the channels, you can put a delay pedal in that link, and then as you turn the normal channel up, that will include the delay as well. Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool thing to do.
Yeah, really, really cool. We've done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Justin Kwok wants to know, what's the head with the Vox grill behind you, Mick? Justin, this is part of the silly stereo rig that I'm putting together. It's a Mesa 5050 stereo power amp, and it's obviously in a fake croc skin rack head, which has a fake croc skin D-style 412 to go with it, 2 of which speakers are broken, unfortunately. They got damaged in transit, so I've been thrown back a little bit getting it together. But when it's together, it's going to be very silly indeed. So that's that.
Indeed. John Box was on. I don't know if you were at the start of the show, John, but I was showing everyone the amazing Wallace amp. More to come on that soon. Plugged it in when I got here, and it was like, okay, the high watt has some competition.
It really does. I was
boy, oh boy,
over the other side of the car park thinking, wow, that sounds a lot like the high watt.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty serious. Hi, I'm from Swindon, says Simon Curl.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. He says, but... Sorry, we need to acknowledge that is a joke.
It's a joke. I live in Swindon.
He says it's the centre of the universe. What's the best plate reverb pedal?
Apart from the CXM.
Yeah, the Chase Bliss Audio CXM 1978.
That's the best.
That's the best, but it is a lot of money.
If all you want is a really simple reverb pedal...
Boss RV6.
Yep. Or the Walrus Audio... the Fathom.
Yeah.
Has got a wonderful plate in it.
Yeah. The one that we always recommend is the Source Audio Collider, which also has a really nice delay in it.
Yeah.
So you get 2 in 1. To be honest, you've got the CXM 1978 and then you've got everything else.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that's a bit of a tough thing to say. Actually,
Meris.
You've got the CXM 1978, you've got the Meris very close to it, and then you've got everything else.
I'm actually considering...
What is it? Is it the Polymoon? Is that what
No, the Polymoon is the
called?
delay. It is the Meris...
I saw it earlier.
Come on, brain.
I saw it. Anyway, the reverb that Meris makes is spectacularly good.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when I first heard the Meris pedal, I said, that's the best reverb I've ever heard in a pedal. And then when I heard the CXM, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's the best reverb I've ever heard in a pedal. And then it was Meris...
Meris did the reverb
with Chase Bliss. It's like, those guys are so switched on. Such a fan.
Let's finish with Alex London, who asks the question we have all considered at some point in our playing lives, for which there is a hopelessly simple and boring answer, which is there a reason why pedal inputs go right to left rather than left to right?
Someone just asked me this just recently. It is because, well, from my understanding, the output of the guitar is here on my right-hand side.
If you're right-handed.
Which
most
people are. Now, early fuzzers and things like that did have the input on the left-hand side of the pedal.
Yep.
And what was happening was the cable was between the player and the pedal. And when they went to step on the button, so there you go, as an example of the input and output being
the wrong way around.
The wrong way around. So what would happen is, as you go to step on the pedal, you were stepping over the cable, and it became a bit of a faff. But with the input on the right-hand side, the cable was out the road as you stepped on the pedal.
Yep. So it's a reflection of many guitar players being right-handed,
And pedantic.
and therefore it all needs to go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the best explanation we've found.
Yeah.
Because it is interesting, because normally when you draw signal path diagrams, they go the other way, right? They go left to right, given that most of Western writing and way of doing things is left to right. Yeah.
Indeed.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay, Dan, I'm looking forward to playing the bass tomorrow.
Okay. That's I'll be very quiet. Can't ask me to swing.
There's a winch.